Here we go. Ready?
I'd like to call the January meeting of the Washington County, what would you call it?
Planning agency.
Planning agency to order. This is roll call. I'm assuming you,
Everybody's here.
okay, that's what I
We
needed.
have a quorum.
Now, who is on the committee? Or
You three.
it's just the three of us?
Yep.
Everybody else is observing? Is that what this is? Interesting. Interesting.
It's your first meeting. You got a big audience.
Yeah, well, first order of business is to review and approve or disapprove the project. Right on which town of Granville, is that the one we're into?
Town of Granville, 1047, State Route 22.
If you'd like me to read off the information to everybody that
Of
Set us
this
up.
project or everything?
for every, yeah, you can pretty much hand it over because I prepared the report.
Oh, well, why don't I turn this all over to Pam?
Pamela drives the car.
I drive the car. I won't make any decisions, but I drive the car.
Interesting.
All right, so we have 3 referrals for planning agency today. And the first is a project under the town of Granville Planning Board consideration for site plan approval. The applicant is Corey's Power Sports Repair. And this is for a home-based repair shop business, which we've seen a few of those in Granville of late, so just for context. This is a repair shop service for power sport vehicles and small engine repairs on an acre and 0.2 acre parcel. Project proposed for the half acre parcel. This is 1,500 square feet proposed new construction. They're gonna construct a driveway and a 30 by 50 foot shed as a shop and fenced in ATV storage behind the existing farm. In between the proposed shop and property line. A scrap dumpster is proposed within the fenced in ATV storage area. So you have a plan that's the applicant provided. And it's a little bit faint, but you can, they provided a key. So,
My big question is, which map do we go by as far as whether we think there's wetlands next to it?
see, okay, so that is interesting. I did make a couple of notes here, and it does say the EF map already turned out wetlands are adjacent on parcel. But the Washington County GIS map doesn't indicate property or doesn't wetlands. Well, actually, at this point, as of January 1st, 2025, neither. Because there have been significant changes to the wetland law, New York State DC's wetland law. And so there, a lot more has to be delineated, so we don't always know if there is or if it's not on the parcel.
I would say at the very least, it should be addressed in the seeker. If it's coming up in EAF map or
And the
that,
seeker said there was.
yeah, so I mean, I guess the applicant should be, you know.
Right,
There's an
exactly. yeah.
opportunity for that.
What caused this to fall underneath the purview?
So the purpose of the GML review is that it's 500 feet from New York State Route 22. So
That's what caused it
yeah,
for our.
that was the
review.
trigger.
And what would be the grounds to disapprove this? If we have the authority to approve it, what would be the grounds to disapprove? Otherwise, I mean, I don't know how to review this. If we have the right to turn it down, what's gotta be the ground? What am I-
They're going through the process. For example, if they're completely ignoring the fact that there are wetlands there. That would be one thing, but apparently now under the new definition, there are not. If we think there's going to be a significant environmental impact that the planning board has not considered.
Do we get the notes from the planning board as far as what their review process?
Yes, so they have provided the application.
And did they approve it?
Well, they don't approve it until it comes to planning agency. So they can hold a public hearing, but and leave that public hearing open until the planning agent hears, and makes their determination.
Okay,
But we've seen this before for something else, right?
Yes, we've
Okay.
seen two others in Granville in recent times. Last time, I think
Oh, so this is another,
this is
Yeah.
yet
Of the
another one. This
same-
is
a
not the
same-
same person.
Okay. Oh,
This is down the
interesting.
street from the last one.
interesting, that must be a big market.
Yeah, it was right on Route 22.
Yeah.
It's down the way from a church. He's abutted by residential properties.
It looks agricultural in the back there. Is this an ag district?
No,
It's not, okay. So in previous applications similar to this, we've talked about capacity for storage, if there's gonna be on-site storage, how long are things going to be there? Risks of leakage, things like that.
the town has junk laws,
Mm-hmm.
leakage, and then just a little bit about the traffic and whether or not you're going to have increase significant on Route 22. And so I gave pictures to show you the sight line, which is really flat and thin.
Hmm.
And the picture with the little truck shows, as you can look back and you can see the existing storage shed, and that's where the fenced in area with the ATVs and the container for the metal weight scrap is going to be. And I asked the planning board for whether or not they're going to pay.
Mhm.
I didn't get the answer.
Okay.
She was going to ask, and I don't recall, no, she didn't tell me. So, but she thinks not, but.
Yeah, I mean, that could potentially impact the road, like, there's more traffic coming in and out of it probably.
They got two state highways. pretty close.
Based on it not being their consideration for capacity, which we've seen in the past on some applications where they list how many of whatever they're gonna allow or store on site. And the environmental impacts, both from the seepage, leakage, or noise to the neighboring residents right around it. There's two houses on either side.
Yeah.
There are concern comments.
I would love to make a matter, or a motion that would be a matter of local concern with those comments. And the additional.
So the capacity for storage, the potential for environmental impacts, and the potential for noise.
Yeah.
That the planning board consider these factors.
And so I know there's question about the wetlands, but I can't. I feel like it needs to be addressed in some capacity, at least through their seeker. Say like, well, it's actually not here, or actually, these aren't considered that anymore.
Well, I think the issue may be on that. The seeker application was done on December 19th before the change.
Do you think if you redid the AF map, it would come up differently?
I did the EAF mapper myself,
Mhm.
in preparation because I wanted to see if that was real, with the check of the yes on. And it left me just wondering who to talk to ask, have they changed the EAF mapper to come up yes always, because you have to make a type of determination. That was my thought to myself.
Okay, well, just
Yeah.
a note that it does come up in that it, whether or not they're actually there should be, addressed by the
Okay,
applicant.
address, presence.
And there's clearly it looks like there's a line of vegetation right past actually through the site that would indicate there's something wet there, so. From a visual. But, other than that, I would. Unless you would like us, we want to ask about, the question of paving, I would say that I will second that motion.
That's it.
Do-
There's any further discussion?
Just as an aside for you, so this was the matter of central local conservative techniques, the most common thing to occur here. But then with comments means that you add suggestions into the letter, the determination letter to the town or village. And order for them to take it into consideration, but it's not binding. So, yeah, so we have, as a planning agency, we can referral and determination that way. We could say, we could do approval, an approval, which we never, and or a disapproval with comments. Both of those would be binding. We would be telling them that we would,
Disapproval would be binding.
yeah.
So they would need a supermajority locally to
Yes.
to bypass the
Yeah,
disapproval.
so they still have a relief valve, and
Now, a super majority of the planning board.
yeah. But
But, do you want me to do just the final vote on that? So we have a motion and a second.
Unless there's any further discussion.
Wait, now you're looking back at me. Am I back running the meeting?
Oh, well,
Is
it's-
that what this is? or-
You-
You told me you took it, so.
You would simply call for the vote. and you have the
Okay.
ability to vote.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Now back to you, Pam. You're in
Yes,
charge again?
indeed.
Okay. Just let me know when you just pass it back to me. I can do that.
Okay, yeah, that final piece is up to the planning agency, so I don't get to say anything about motions. All right, so the project, this next project is under the Town of Fort Anne Planning Board consideration for site plan approval. This is for 349 Cloverdale LLC, what was once Harris Airport. We've seen a few of applications for different things. This is for the placement of a commercial food trailer, and it came to us because the parcel is 500 feet of farm operation ag district 7, and also 500 feet of New York State Route 149. And the description is to park a 35-foot long and 8-foot wide commercial food truck trailer on property parcel within 125 to 800 feet off of New York State Route 149. Just an acre of disturbance on a parcel that is 172 acres. And the goal is 2 to 10 customers per day. The application indicates proposed siting on grass dirt surface, no driveway paving indicated in the application, and I've confirmed that with the applicant. Parking for 10 to 20 vehicles. The only note I made was the site plan relationship and impacts with other operation proposed or in terms of intermunicipal impact, and we have the applicant here.
There's 2 exits on this, so there are gonna be 2 food trailers? 2 options. Oh, 2 options, okay.
One on the road in, and then one would be turning into the hangar.
So one or the other, okay. So I think that project and action itself will have minimal impact, especially with all the other things that we've looked at this property. The only thing I would say for the local board to approve a site plan, I think that they need to choose, the applicant should choose one of these before final approval, if you have a It's not quite a site plan, there's two options to choose from.
You have something you're leaning toward?
For me, I think it's all seasonal, winter time, whatever would be on the main road, and then in summer it would be back by there.
So if you want approval for both of these, you say
Yes.
like, oh, okay, so
Yeah,
we'll just move back and, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
that makes,
Whatever-
okay,
whatever.
got it. So we want approval for both of these,
Okay.
and then.
So no comment, really.
No. So I will make a motion that it's a matter of public concern.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to approve this. Is there any further discussion? I hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
That was a good question.
We've seen a lot going on at that
This
site.
isn't like the OJ bird.
All right.
Thank you.
So the third project that is before us is under the Village of Fort Edwards, Village Board Corporation for the adoption of a local law, village-wide, a local law enacting a moratorium on the treatment, testing, disposal, storage, or deposit of contaminated with perfluoroalkyl and polyfluoroalkyl substances, that's PFAS, in the Village of Fort Edward. And the reason why it came to us is the adoption.
So this is different from the other one we just saw from them about solid waste. Yes.
Yes.
It's very but similar, but different.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
it may be related, but I didn't discuss it with them.
I hate to throw a wrench in this, is PFA something that the sewer district?
Right. I think it's probably, that was. Or,
So so the sewer district right now, they create, some of the waste goes into creating sludge cakes. So I don't know where those sludge cakes are currently stored until they go out for whatever is done with them these days. I know there's been a number of proposals and solutions over the years, but that would be my concern, to make sure that village understands the potential impact to the sewer district in terms of the waste sludge.
Given
and
who
how
the
long
village
it's
attorney
stored on
is, they
site.
should.
right.
They should. But I don't see it referred to.
I mean, that's my major concern. How will we get that to the sewer district?
But this right here actually would restrict that from happening. I mean, that would be the law. I mean, the sewer district couldn't do it.
Well, so, I mean, I think this might be a Dan question, but when it goes into the plant, it gets processed. At what point is it considered storage? Because it's gotta come out as something, get processed into sludge, and then something happens to sludge. So what's the definition of?
I'm an attorney, not an engineer.
Because that could mean you can't even have stuff come into the sewer plant because it contains PFOA.
I
I don't know what that means.
I think we need to probably reach out to sewer district / village attorney, because I assume he's gonna be taking that into account. And what happens when we assume?
Right, it's not clear in the application that they've considered it or they have a solution for it, because that could be a major.
What would this impact if this, other than take the sewer district out of the equation? What would this, what's the purpose of this? Is it,
I assume that to limit the amount of PFAs.
but it's not to stop them from bringing in, it's to force those that to be removed. What is it? What is the purpose of this?
It's in,
Limit future operations from storing things such as that.
Well, the legislative intent is to it's the health, safety, welfare of the residents of Fort Edward. That's what we can glean from this. We don't, that's, I guess the question is it getting at something else? Yeah. Cause I
Well,
don't think, it doesn't specifically say.
No, but it's my
particular
understanding is this is created for manufacturers. It's a byproduct of, this different industries within the village, right? And no,
So
I-
Dan, if you.
Well, right now, they're simply looking for 9-month moratorium under the local law so that they can figure out, I think, how they want to do it. But the question is, in the meantime, sewer district, we just spent a large money on, amount of money on a sludge dryer. We, how is that going to impact their operations? Because
well, and I guess what I want to know is I'm gonna be dumb here on this. What is it? What is this that they're want a moratorium on?
And if you,
Yes.
if you read section 4, it basically says, any actions consisting of treatment, testing, disposal, storage, or deposit of contaminated material on any property anywhere within the village of Lawrence. That could mean either it's produced within the village, in which case that cannot happen anymore, or contaminated material is brought into the village to any site within the village and then tested or treated or stored. So it bans it both directions,
Yes,
in and out. And
I got that part. What is this that they're talking, this acronym? That's what I was,
Polyfluoroethylene,
it's,
something.
you may remember the Cinco Bay plant in Rensselaer County, there was a
yes,
major.
who's it? That's why I'm going with this.
Right, that's,
It's something that's not manufactured, it's a byproduct, is it not? Of manufactured.
which, I'm speculating, so.
Well,
I'm not saying they aren't, but my first thought is the biggest plant where it might happen could be irrigation.
and so now that the cat's out of the bag, I want to take this one step further. If they need to manufacture their product, whatever it is, and this is a byproduct, is this now going to shut that down because now they can't have that byproduct being made? In which case, do they have an opportunity to store it there till they dispose of it?
There is a hardship clause in here.
Yes.
Potentially they could petition.
If they
to be-
petition and are granted the hardship by the village, they could continue to do it, but
I understand this is moratorium, so I'm not too worried, we can move ahead with this, but the end result is, I think that you have to put a lot of consideration into the fact that we want to put a company out of business with whatever this is.
well, as I said,
We don't
I don't know. I simply used Irving as an example.
Well, that's one I'm thinking of, because I know.
The first thing that popped into my head when I was reviewing this was the sewer district. Because that's where your waste goes.
I would like to, I guess, do we know if they've sent this to the town and also the sewer district? So that's a question. Also, I think it might be helpful considering this conversation that the law itself defines some of these terms, like storage and, because that's what, I mean, we're asking those questions. Yeah. Like, is there a period of time that wouldn't be considered storage, things like that?
So there's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Unanswered questions.
Yeah.
So is this a moment where we need more information as a planning agency to make a determination? Should we table it? Or is it one of those, or it's just an unbinding comments?
Well, for me to make a decision on what I'm gonna ask is, if we approve this for strictly a moratorium, does it come back to us when they have developed a law or regulation and for our approval?
Yes.
In which case, at that time, if we're still not happy with the definition, we could require or request more information on the different topics or sections of it, correct?
So can we shift it back with the comments that we've made and maybe an add-on that they confer with the town and the sewer district?
And I mean, obviously, you've got Public Works at 10 o'clock after this, so maybe Kevin can answer some questions.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know if it is it would clearly be helpful to have background. I don't know if that's something that would typically be provided, but, yeah.
Well, the planning agency can ask for whatever background it wants in order to be able to fully understand the
Okay,
project.
so like,
You can't make a determination without.
Right.
fully understanding.
yeah, I guess what's the why?
So like,
What kind of comments am I writing down?
and the fact that it's just a moratorium.
Additional clarifiers on the definition,
Mhm,
right? Have there been discussions with the town, with the sewer district?
mhm.
As I said, I'd like to think the sewer district attorney is also the village attorney. That's probably been taken into account.
Right, but we don't know that.
Right.
But I just thought of another potential impact. So there's a recycling center in the village. Technically, this would mean they couldn't accept Teflon coated pans stored at the recycling center. Teflon typically has PFAS.
Well, and here's another thought, if we approve this moratorium, does that automatically shut down the sewer district or Irving Tissue? Because it says the moratorium is gonna stop all this, no storage, nothing for 6 months.
Well, I mean, I think the other thing is we send this back, they still have to pass it. Right now, this is just a proposal, which they could make changes to based on our comments before it passes out. Like we're saying, okay, we approve of the moratoriums in effect, they still have to pass the local law.
Right, but the moratorium, that's a local law, is what you're
Part of
saying.
the
The
law, part of the
mo-
local law is
moratorium.
enacting moratorium. So they still have to pass the local law before the moratorium comes.
Is this a situation, a rare situation where we do approval with comments that have the aspect that they have to answer these questions? Or
What is the urgency of that? If we're starting to become uncomfortable, what if we just held off on this moratorium until we got the information?
We can table that.
I'll make a motion that we table it. Based on the need for additional clarification in those areas in which we discussed.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I would
Whoa.
just say you want to probably need a motion to table it until the next meeting, otherwise technically.
I think that's what he left a few words out.
Well, I want to make sure the words are there.
Yeah,
As spoken.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carried.
All right, so we're done with the referrals that have come for today, but also what comes through the planning agency is just some notices from the Adirondack Planning Agency. And so there's just a few, and I just run through them because it's a call for written comments generally and public participation. So the first is a project where the application's been completed. That's P2023-0159. It's a major project public notice. We reviewed it in August, or we went through it in August 23. Town of Dresden, Pat Dan Crusher Road area, proposed 3-lot subdivision of 370 acres with 108 acres lot, 3-acre lot, 140-acre lot, each with existing residential development. No new land use development is proposed. The next one is that an application's been received on Putnam Craig Road. This is for a project for a 2-lot subdivision at merger. Third one is that an application's been received for Putnam Mosswood Way for the construction of a single-family dwelling, and I have a paper insert there for this. Which I brought So. Yes, here we go. Application completed and determined. We saw that, in November of this year. This one, is the town of Fort Anne Pilot Knob Road, again, construction of single family. You know, there a notice that came in through my office is that there's a notice of initiation of the section 106 process. Public participation for Verizon Wireless Buck Mountain Fort Anne. Planning agency looked at it, November of, this last meeting that we had on November 26th. So this is just to let the public know that they're seeking comments of potential effects of the proposed construction on historic properties. And it's gonna be published, or it had been supposed to have been published in the CoStar. And then, in the packet, I just wanted to give you, every year, and it's part of the general law, we have to have a report of planning agency, referrals. And so I give that to you to take home, take a look at, we can, bring back questions next time perhaps, but it will also be seen at the next ag planning and tourism, development meeting, so. But it's given to the,
Only free solar? I see that all the time.
yeah, I know,
Same
it's
one over
just
there.
percentage wise. I
Yeah.
know. So, and so that concludes the items for a business today. For the planning agency.
All right, I'll make a. motion.
There's one more thing though.
You just said it was the end of business.
I almost forgot that we have to decide whether we're going to hold an emergency meeting. I didn't hear back from anybody, so we added to the agenda today, but it has been,
Gonna ask
the
a
decision of the planning agency passed that they'd rather not, make determination on a project that comes, a referral that comes that hasn't been noticed properly and for the public. So, this is for Rum Bellies. It came in and, obviously we're not doing it today, but they wanted to know if we had an emergency meeting. They're holding a public hearing tonight. They can hold the public hearing open until we make the next determination. Our next meeting is, I don't know, because it didn't end up on the county calendar. I think
It's in March.
I think it's in March, probably the first.
Four.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna confirm with the admin group, but yeah. So, so it's up to the planning agency to determine whether they want to meet one more time between for purpose of this.
What is is there some critical time frame on this for the village of Port Edward? According to that email I was
There's a
reading.
critical time for the planning agency, it has to be 30 day, you have to be able to make a determination within 30 business. 30 counting days, so that is exciting. They have to get it to, or it goes back to the local board to make the decision without us, so that would be our limitation, but. But as far as as far as making it, there are timing things, but I think this falls within the timing things for the town or the village, excuse me.
Well, I don't want to drag this meeting out, but I need to understand everything, so I've got a couple questions. Who is noticed on for these? When you say the notice, did they miss deadline for having a notice put up? Who-
Public notice.
Where is it in the paper? In the Post-Star?
Star, I don't know that it's
I
in the
didn't-
Post-Star, I think the notice is
County
County
official
publications.
publications, so presumably the Eagle.
Eagle.
Times.
So all it takes is like, it's gotta be done by every Friday or whatever, there's a deadline, right, for it to be noticed,
Right.
Okay.
This particular one came in
okay.
yesterday.
Oh, well, I know, I saw it and I read the email and I think you sent it out to everybody. The circumstances that caused this delay. Well, what I don't wanna see is us hindering economic development this is going to be a business, right? Or is it business now that they want to expand?
Yeah, Grumbley's is a well-established business in
They're
Fort
Fort
Ann,
Ann.
And
moving
then-
to-
Right.
the bank, yeah.
So what are our options for accommodating the review of this?
It's up to the, planning agency members to determine whether they would like to have what we would call an emergency meeting.
Which you could call and with a week or 2 weeks notice.
Right, there would be time to do it before the next meeting. It would
Okay.
just be up to the decision.
Yeah, but I thought there was a deadline they're dealing with it. Of something. There
They
was
have,
something-
they have a hearing
We have
tonight.
a hearing.
Yeah, the hearing was not like you say, it's critical. Is that their only deadline they're working with?
Well, they have to leave the hearing open until we.
Yeah.
She
Make a
writes,
decision.
I mean,
But there was something about March first.
yeah, she writes, a public hearing for this application, she being the clerk. Public hearing for this application is February 19th, and they have a lot of things on schedule to start construction to the bank, so they can open in March. I'd hate for all.
That's a little, I mean, even to go to a local board to open in less than, or than in a month, I mean,
Yes,
It's
yes,
like,
there's,
it's,
yes, there's, sometimes applicants don't always,
yeah,
line up their ducks.
yes, and of
But-
course, the applicant always.
So
has
the
a-
hearing's February 19th.
Today.
Today,
Yeah, today isn't.
public hearing
No.
for this is February 19th. I thought it was tonight.
And so
When did I think
Yeah,
that?
you got-
She
you
wrote
got-
me a number of messages.
got a couple weeks to
Yeah.
schedule it if you need.
Well, would you all be in agreement to schedule one? Rather than wait till, when was it, you said in March?
I guess the first Tuesday.
I mean, it isn't costing anything other than putting the ad in the paper. What's the thought? I mean, I'm new to this, so I'm asking.
So we worked pretty hard to like establish a time frame for town so that, you know, it's not onerous on the planning department and the county to like. Except it's not a rolling
Right.
applicant situation,
We
so,
don't, we defined emergency quite
Yeah.
tightly.
yeah.
And we don't want to set a precedent that it's okay to roll things in.
Municipalities can't set precedent.
Not legal, but
No, I mean, there's no precedent created by any actions, any municipal board.
Right, you can
So-
you can change it.
Right, anytime, it's been proven, so I'm not worried about precedent, I'm worried about helping a potential business grow, that's all I'm pro-business. Now, is it a hardship for us to have a special meeting, it's all, I don't know, it's not a hardship for me. You travel, so is it a hardship for you?
no, it is not a hardship. I just, there's clear deadlines and procedure associated with these things, and that's the issue we wanna, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
From my opinion, I think I would like to continue the
we
procedure.
for a while were kind of ignoring when people came in. We finally, in the last few months, started being a little more strict about, you don't have it on the deadline, you're gonna have to wait.
Well, the only one we're punishing with that, it wasn't the applicant that did it wrong. I mean, that was on time, it was the village clerk who was sick, holiday, vacation, whatever it was, didn't get the paperwork to us. So we're hurting an applicant because of a elected or an appointed municipal
Yeah, I mean, if,
employee, and,
if this is something that, my 2 cents, if this is something that the applicant did everything right, and it wasn't, what happened, if we didn't get it was beyond their control, I think that would be kind of an exceptional circumstance. They just kind of drag their feet. I'd look at it, in my opinion, very differently, but I don't have votes. So.
right,
When
So-
is your deadline? Like, for how far in advance to?
A week, so
So-
it's the Monday before the planning agency
So
meeting.
last
at
Monday.
At 4:30.
Uh-huh.
and they had submitted
So
the
they
app.
were full, it was a full week. They
Yeah.
said they were closed on.
Yeah, so were we. And so actually it was
Right,
Tuesday,
okay.
Tuesday by 4:30.
Yeah. I said, I mean, totally understandable. It isn't beyond the realm of possibilities that an applicant waits 2 months to get an approval. Like, that's not an outrageous time frame for a local board to review a project. So I wouldn't say that not reviewing it would lose this project altogether. I don't, that being said, since this clerk was sick and it's not the applicant's fault, that's fine. I guess that can be our.
So with that being said,
Sure.
we're all in agreement that you'll expedite this and get it, whatever it takes for us to meet again and approve it.
Send an email around.
Are you satisfied with that?
Absolutely.
Okay. With that being said, is there anything else to bring before this, meeting?
You sure this stuff?
Yes.
Adjourned. All right.
Must you adjourn, recess, and then call a special meeting?
Well, one that does it change anything either way? Because you gotta notice it, you gotta start all over again.
But it wouldn't be a emergency meeting, if that's something somebody was worried about.
What is our stance on making decisions on things that aren't noticed? I guess that was my question yesterday. Did we make a decision on that?
Well, I think what our press, except for a long time, we were kind of letting it go.
Mhm.
Over the last few months, we kind of said, look, if it's not noticed, you're not.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Just curious. Okay.
Very good.
Thank
Right.
you.
Well, appreciate everybody taking the time to educate me.